internet, my name is Lave and I finally watched Shazam, and I say finally because I know my fellow YouTube movie reviewers got their reviews up for this like weeks ago, and I did get an invite to an early preview screening of it. I just couldn't attend on that night, and it was really killing me to see all of these reviews popping up which I didn't want to watch to influence my own thoughts on the film, but I've finally seen it now, so let's talk about the DC Cinematic Universe latest edition, which is about an orphaned Streetwise kid called Billy Batson who is summoned by an ancient wizard who grants him all of his powers, turning him into an adult-sized superhero every time he says his name, Shazam. And with great power comes a great deal of fun and then responsibility when a new supervillain arises, threatening to take over the world. So what really surprised me about the story is that it's just as much an origin story for its villain, played by Mark Strong, as it is for our hero, played by Zachary, Levi, and Asher Angel, who's playing the kid version of Billy. Without spoiling anything, both are searching for something that's missing in their lives, and both have expectations when and if they find it. And I really liked how the story bounces between the two before the two collide with each other. I'm not saying that Mark Strong is the best or most compelling villain ever, but his motivations are certainly understandable. And Shazam's hero journey isn't anything new and does resort to the tried and tested formula of having flashbacks to explain his backstory, and there are bits of exposition with a CG visual aid to explain what's going on and the origin of Shazam himself, which we see in every superhero movie. But I can definitely forgive the film for that, because after all, this is an origin story, so it has to go through the motions, and I'm not familiar with the character of Shazam in the comics, so I did need that, and it rattles through it so quickly to get to the second act, which is when it really got into its stride. Again, it isn't breaking the mold. It's got your typical kind of like training montages. I love the shout out to Rocky because it's set in Philadelphia, so it has a lot of fun with that. But when he's learning about his powers and what he can do with his new abilities, it's so much fun. This is hands down the most fun and the most entertaining DC Cinematic Universe I've seen. And I really love the fact that the trailers did give you a lot of the flavour of the tone of the film and did show you a lot of the gags, but there are plenty of jokes within those scenes which it doesn't show. So there are plenty of occasions where I was genuinely laughing, and I've got to give props to the writers as well, because some of the dialogue is really funny as well as the visual gags. So yeah, so far so good. The cast are clearly having a blast too. Zachary Levi crushes it as Shazam, and Mark Strong is good in his role too, but also the kid actors. There's various other foster kids who form this makeshift family, and none of them really annoyed me, but the one who stole the show for me was Jack Dylan Grazer, the kid from It and A Beautiful Boy. He plays one of the other foster kids and becomes Billy's like brother and friend, but he's a super nerd. He's really sarcastic, but he knows all about the superhero stuff, so he helps Shazam with his abilities, and they start creating like YouTube videos which go viral. So it's a lot of fun. It's really contemporary in that way, but that's not to say that he doesn't have to act. Like, he has a really good scene when he confronts Shazam because he thinks he's not doing what he should be doing, and he's actually a bit resentful of him. The kid playing Billy, the kid version of Billy, I thought was good as well. He has a couple of scenes where he has to act as well, but the whole way through the film, it's like, he really reminds me of someone to look at facially, and I finally put my finger on it. He reminds me of Maisie Williams, but I did get past it, and like I say, he's good in the role, and yeah, he works well off Zachary Levi, his adult counterpart. It's great. The visual effects is pretty good. There's a couple of moments that do look a bit too CG as it transitions from live action shots to VFX shots, especially in some of the flying sequences, but overall it's what you would expect from a big budget blockbuster. There are also some computer generated monster or creatures in there which kind of reminded me of Zool's guard dogs from Ghostbusters, but with a bit more thought gone into their character design, because there's 7 of them and they each represent one of the 7 deadly sins. And a couple of the scenes, I think they do push the 12A age rating with these things, because they do some pretty like kind of scary stuff in it. But apart from that, the tone of the film is definitely going for fun family superhero movie. Like, I do have a couple of other gripes with the film. Like, I think the third act could have been tightened up. Like, a couple of the action set pieces, which there are quite a few of them, I think could have been condensed down and maybe merged into one, because it does feel like a long film. And I also did find it kind of quite weird that they are referring to Superman and Batman, because it's all set in the same cinematic universe as Batman v Superman. But I'm sitting there with the knowledge that Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck aren't playing those characters anymore. So I did find that a bit weird, but the film makes a joke out of it. So that's my thoughts on Shazam, and pause the video if you want to take a closer look at my enjoyment tracker now. Out of all of the DC Cinematic Universe films, this one really felt like they knew what tone they wanted to go for, and they went out and nailed it down. It is much more light-hearted and fun in tone, but that's because the character and the story is more light-hearted and fun. Yes, it's very similar to Marvel Cinematic Universe. There were a few times where I thought, oh, Marvel have done a similar joke to that, but do you know what? They own it, and like I say, I think the writers did a really good job with some of the dialogue, and I was laughing a hell of a lot, which is all I was hoping for. And I do think that this is a good start to something bigger. I'm looking forward to a sequel, and I even go as far to say that I did enjoy this way more than the other Captain Marvel. So thanks very much for watching this review. I really do appreciate it. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought down in the comments. And as always, thanks for checking out this vid. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give it a like, and don't forget to share the Lave. Shazam!